Howdy y'all, my name is Caitlin. I am the owner of the Plundering Possum, which is my small upcycling business. If you're interested in buying one of my products or following my social medias, I'll link them down below in the description. You can also find them on my YouTube homepage. It'll be linked in my bio. With that, let's get started. This video is going to be all about backing. If you don't know what backing is, I will show you. So here you can see I have a sweatshirt that I made, and this is a t-shirt that I used. But the t-shirt is not the same material or the same thickness as the sweatshirt that I used. So what I did is I backed it with sweatshirt material. So you can see it's gray, but on the inside it's green. You can also see other places where I didn't have the right color. I used orange and red, and there is also some purple in here somewhere. I don't know. Anyways, the outside, it looks perfectly normal, but the inside, I backed. So the purpose of backing is just to create an even consistency on the inside of your upcycles. I mainly make hoodies, sweatshirts, sweatpants, kind of that sweat type clothing. Usually that's made out of excess hoodie or sweatshirt material, and I use a lot of t-shirts for my staple pieces, and I want that to be the same thickness on the inside, which is why I back. Whenever you're choosing the materials you want to back with, you want to choose something that is the same consistency as the rest of the materials in your upcycle. So once again, for an example, this is obviously a sweatshirt. This green right here is sweatshirt. This dark green. This right here is not sweatshirt material. It's very thin, and so I backed it with sweatshirt material. Here's the purple from earlier. And that way, whenever you put it on, it feels the same and it's the same thickness on the inside. Whenever you're backing, you're going to need three things. You're going to need your staple piece. You're going to need some sweatshirt material or just some backing material, and then you're going to need spray adhesive. Whenever you're choosing your material, you can use the plain colors that you have in your upcycle, like this one. You could use this green. However, I like to use stained pieces or unwanted decals so that they don't go to waste. Here's an example of a piece that I backed. It looks like a normal white Bugs Bunny t-shirt. When you flip it around, I actually backed it with a Lake Tahoe sweatshirt so that it has that thicker consistency for the hoodie that I'm making. Here are some more examples of backing material that I saved. I try to be sustainable and use every bit of the sweatshirt, and so I like to save these stained or unwanted decals to use for backing. The only thing I do not recommend for backing is bejeweled, bedazzled, really anything that's a sweatshirt that has something sticking out of it. Here's an example of something I would not use for backing. Maybe hard to tell, but these stars right here, they're kind of on, like they're glued on top of the sweatshirt. There's also these beads, and whenever you back, you're either gonna feel it on the outside or the inside, depending which way you face it, and it's just not very comfortable. Now that you know all the basics, I'm going to show you how to back. Once again, here are all the materials you're going to need. You're going to need your backing, you're going to need spray adhesive, and you're going to need your staple piece. You will also need a cutting mat, a rotary cutter, and a ruler. The first thing you're going to do is determine which way the backing needs to face. So because I'm using a white t-shirt, you can kind of see the decal showing through. It may be hard to see on the camera. There you can kind of see the yellow showing through on the decal, and I don't want that to show through whenever I have my finished hoodie. To fix that problem, all you're going to do is flip your backing onto the other side. This does mean that the logo that you don't want is going to show inside of your hoodie, but since nobody sees that, I don't really mind doing it. You want to make sure your backing is nice and flat. Get your spray adhesive. I use this Treehouse Studio spray adhesive. It works pretty well. Before I spray, another thing you may notice is I did not pre-cut this. You don't want to pre-cut the size. You want to cut it after. It just makes it a lot easier to get the actual size you want. Once your spray adhesive is all shaken up, you want to spray a very thin layer of the adhesive across the entire backing. This part is a little tricky, but once you get that done, you want to get your staple piece and lay it as flat as you can on top. Once you get it laid down pretty flat, you're going to smooth it all out. When you have it all smoothed out, then you can cut out your decal. Here is the piece that is finished being backed. As you can see, the decal, you can't really see through the front. It will be facing on the inside, but I don't really mind that. And here you have a perfectly backed piece. I used to serge the two pieces together when I was done, but I don't like to do that anymore because it's really bulky and hard to sew onto another piece. Backing doesn't just have to be for staple pieces. You can do it for just any thin material. You can use it for kind of a material that's a little more scratchy and you don't like the feeling. Just anything you want to, you can back. Whenever you're serging or sewing the pieces together, you're going to have 3 layers. You have the backing layer, the staple piece or t-shirt layer, and then the piece you're sewing it onto. So I like to serge with the cutter on. You can see the cutter right there. And I like to make sure that I catch all 3 pieces so I have a nice strong seam. You can kind of see in here, it's catching all 3 because it's cutting off a little bit of each layer. And I will just serge all the way down. In here, I have a nice, clean seam. Here is the finished hoodie I've been working on. Here's the inside where you can see the staple pieces that I backed. And once again, here is the finished hoodie. If you want to learn to make hoodies like me, make sure to comment below any of the skills you want me to cover in this beginner's guide to upcycling or any questions that you might have. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe to support my small business. I'll see you in the next video.